One side of the board, we had to write our biggest obstacle. And on the other side, we had to write our ultimate goal. So I wrote as my biggest obstacle, raising enough money for my hedge fund for it to be massively profitable. And on the other side, I wrote my ultimate goal, making everybody in this room financially free. So I went home that night after I broke that board, and I couldn't sleep. The wooden board was staring back at me. Actually, half the wooden board, making everybody in this room financially free. And I realized it was a non sequitur. What did raising more money for my hedge fund have anything to do with helping everybody in this room become financially free? And then I also realized that I could have done a better job than that guy pitching stock options up on stage if I ever had the courage to get up on stage. Because at the very least, he was misleading to these people, and at worst, he was lying to them, and I felt like I could be a lot more authentic with them. So I went into my office the next morning on 54th and 6th, working as a hedge fund manager, and I sent an email to my investors telling them I'm giving them their money back, I'm shutting down my fund because I figured out my true purpose in life. I know it may sound like a cliche, but it's true. So I'm on the phone, July 2016, with this health coach. And this conversation becomes a life-changing event in its own right. Because at the end of the conversation, after I'm picking Kiersey's brain, asking her how she became a health coach, how she marketed, how she got clients, she says to me, Joel, am I going to see you in October? Hi, Kiersey. She said, because Playing the Matrix is coming to New York. Playing the what? She said, Joel, you don't get the note from the universe? You don't know Mike Dooley? Sorry, Kiersey. So Kiersey explains to me all about Mike Dooley. He's a motivational speaker. He speaks in front of hundreds and thousands of people globally. He wrote a book called Infinite Possibilities, which became a New York Times bestseller. And that note from the universe goes out to 800,000 people globally. So I go to the Playing the Matrix conference in October 2016, and Mike starts talking about his journey, how he started his career as an accountant and became a motivational speaker, speaking in front of thousands of people. And you didn't hear, but I started my career as an actuary. You guys know the difference between an actuary and an accountant? An actuary looks at his feet when he talks to you, an accountant looks at your feet. They say an accountant is an actuary with charisma. And there were two actuaries, they go moose hunting. They get their camouflage gear on, they get their rifles all set, and the first actuary spies a moose, and he shoots, and he misses 5 feet to the left. And the second actuary shoots and he misses 5 feet to the right. And they give each other a high five and say, on average, we got him! And then this woman goes to the doctor. The doctor says, I got really bad news. You got 6 months to live. She says, Doc, can I do anything? He says, yes, I got one great idea for you. Move to North Dakota and marry an actuary. Why would I do that, she says. Because it'll be the longest 6 months of your life. Okay, I'm not the typical actuary. In fact, I'm a prosperity coach. So I'm at this course, right? And Mike talks about being an accountant and looking at other people's feet. But he's speaking in front of hundreds and thousands of people globally. And he talks about how 20 years earlier, he joined Toastmasters to improve his public speaking. And I said to myself, Mike's got a New York Times best-selling book, and I'm writing a book. Mindful Money Management, Memoirs of a Hedge Fund Manager, which came out last year and became a bestseller, by the way. So I said, I really dislike public speaking, but I got to do something about this. So I joined Toastmasters. In January of 2017, I found the Vanderbilt Club in Midtown Manhattan, which is a joint club with the Lexington Club. And I gave my first speech in January of 2017, almost exactly 2 years ago. And I remember getting evaluated. And my evaluator said, "Joel, you can't use note cards." What? Are you kidding me? But I've now given more than 50 speeches in the last 2 years. And last month, I became an advanced communicator gold. After 2 years. Thank you. But the most important speech I gave in the last 2 years was a speech on March 4th, 2017, where I was able to speak at my daughter Lauren's bat mitzvah in front of 200 people for 17 minutes without my note cards. Thank you, Toastmasters. Thank you, Toastmasters. So let me tell you a little bit more about that conference, Playing the Matrix. So Mike talks, and now I'm trained, by the way, as an Infinite Possibilities trainer, certified Infinite Possibilities trainer by Mike Dooley. And he talks about visualizing, how thinking about what you want to happen, your dreams and desires. And you can visualize anything. You can visualize the person you want to become, your dreams and desires. You could even visualize your next speech. You could visualize getting a standing ovation. You could visualize people shaking their head when you're talking, smiling, thumbs up. You could even visualize people being inspired by your speech. So at Playing the Matrix, Mike talks about acting as if. Acting as if what you want to happen has already happened. So after the conference ends, I jumped up on stage and I stood in front of a podium pretending to speak in front of a large group, knowing that there's no way this was ever going to happen in my lifetime, but who knows, maybe. Let's act as if. And about a year later, I applied to speak at Mike Dooley's Infinite Possibilities training course in March 2000, speaking in front of my mentor and at least 100, maybe 200, I don't know, people. And there I was in New Orleans in March of last year, speaking in front of Mike Dooley, having acted as if I was going to speak in front of a large group. And I got down after my speech, which went over pretty well, and I'm speaking at the break, and some people tapped me on the shoulder and said, "Joel, look up on stage." And there were multiple people jumping up on stage, grabbing a mic, acting as if they were going to speak at Mike Dooley's next conference. I had inspired some people. Mm-hmm. So what can you do to overcome your biggest fear? I believe the way to overcome and succeed by overcoming your biggest fear is by forced repetition of acts of courage.